It's just about 20 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. I'm Kimberly De Souza in your company, and this is your Spotlight on Now. Now, we have been getting reports that there have been an increased number of complaints against police officers. And so in studio to help me analyze that is the director of the PCA, or the Police Complaints Authority, Mr. David West. Mr. West, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Kimberly. Good morning to your viewers. It's a pleasure.
Now, Mr. West, as I said, there have been reports, right, that the PCA has been receiving an increasing number of complaints against police officers. Is this true?
Yes, it's true, but I won't necessarily say it's anything negative. But what we have done is we have improved the way complainants make complaints. And what we have done, we have gone via social media, and we have increased our app. We have an app where you can download for free on your Android or Apple phone, and we have other methods which we will get into later. But yes, there have been an increase in complaints.
So what were the reports, I should probably ask, what were the reports for the same period last year? Are you noticing any trends, in terms of, what type of complaints are coming to the PCA?
Well, I have some numbers for you, Kimberly,
sure.
If you don't mind. So in 2018, 2019, there were 637 initial reports. And those initial reports became complaints, which were 412. But let me explain. When a complainant comes in and makes a complaint, it may not necessarily fall within our remit. Our remit basically is for serious police misconduct, a criminal offense, or police corruption. So if a complaint does not fall within that, we don't have the jurisdiction to investigate. But once it falls within that, we have the jurisdiction. So that's why you have an initial report, where we take the report and then our legal department analyzes the report to determine whether or not it falls within a complaint. In 2019-2020, we had 737 initial reports, which were 396 complaints. And in last year, we had, in 2020-2021, we had 984 initial reports, which were 467 complaints. So people have been making initial complaints or complaining more, but they may not necessarily have transmitted into full complaints. But yes, the trend has been going upwards.
Right. Now, just for conversation's sake, what are some of the things that the PCA will not be able to get involved in? And then who can you go to if the PCA doesn't have, control over that one?
Well, the police also have what you call a police complaints department, where if you have any trivial matter, you can go to the police and you can go to that department and complain. So, for example, if police officer just kind of moves you aside because you're in his way, they may complain about that. And they may say, the police officer moved me. Or they may say the officer talked hard to me, and kind of way, and disrespected me. And then we wouldn't take that kind of matter. Unless, of course, it's obscene language, which is a criminal offense.
Right. Now, in terms of the types of complaints that you see at the authority, can you give us an example of those?
Yeah, I do, yeah. For example, so the complaints are broken down into disciplinary offenses and criminal offenses. So in the disciplinary offenses, neglect of duty is a pretty big one. That's where people go into the police station, for example, and they make a report, and then they find months pass and they don't hear anything from the police. So that is what we can investigate. Discreditable conduct is another big one, where the police just act not within the rules of the service, and also to unlawful exercise of authority, which is a big one. In the criminal matters, we have misbehavior in public office, which we had last year. We had 145 officers being disciplined, and 145 allegations made against police officers. Assault, 121 matters, and fatalities and near fatalities, which are 117. So it is quite a big number.
Now, I think you were saying that although they bring in a complaint, it's only after you do your research and investigation and stuff, it turns into an actual complaint.
Yes.
How do you make the distinction between what is just a normal allegation and what you can clearly say is a complaint?
Well, when we look at all the information we have and the evidence we have, then we can determine whether it falls within the categories of a criminal offense, serious police misconduct, or police corruption. So that's how we differentiate it.
Right. And how many complaints would you say on average you get per year?
I would say about 425.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mr. West, that's a lot.
It is.
That's a lot. I mean, I know this is not really, your role to manage the TTPS, but I mean, what can you say for something like this?
No, well, what we also do is we can also advise the TTPS.
Right. Okay.
And we have been advising. So what happens, generally speaking, sometimes a complaint may not actually fall within the remit, but what we do is we give advice to the commissioner. Well, listen, it didn't fall within the remit, but you can look at X, Y, and Z in your protocols. And what we do also is we also go to the academy and we give a lecture to the academy on what the PCA does and what, how we operate. And that has helped a lot. And that's been going on for the past 3 to 4 years. So we try to be proactive when it comes to the police service.
Now, 425 on average per year, it means that you have a lot of work to do. Do you have enough resources to get this done? Well,
that's a question Kimberly has been asked pretty regularly of me. And I would think it has to do with the management. For example, we just hired 3 new investigators and we have more staff. So right now, we have 25 investigators and 10 attorneys, and we have a complement of 66 staff. So I think, yes, we do. Right now, currently, we have enough staff, but of course, things change, and the PCA is organic, and it continually evolves itself.
Yeah. Now, I know that Minister Fitzgerald Hines would have announced that we got, I think, 1,000 new body cams for police officers.
Yes.
Will this help with investigations and, when people bring evidence against police officers?
Definitely. The PCA since 2019 has been advocating for body cams. And since former Commissioner Stephen Williams was there, former Commissioner Griffith, we have tried to let them know how important body cameras are, because body cameras actually can help officers when persons make allegations against you. If you have a body camera, you could say, well, no, this is what transpired. So I am hoping that the Ministry of National Security can, purchase more body cameras, because really and truly, the frontline officers need the body cameras, the task force officers, the officers who deal with the public, because they are the ones who get the brunt of the allegations against them. So I'm hoping that body cameras will become like a norm, and especially the task force and the new task force set up under Superintendent Alexander, for example, they should have body cameras because they are the ones on the front line.
Right. Now, in terms of the, so we have also been talking about the body cameras, but I wanted to know, what other evidence can you bring when you're making a complaint against a police officer that maybe can help your case?
Sure. Yeah, that's a very good question. What we generally look at is, for example, if you have any telephone video footage, if you have any voice notes or WhatsApp messages. Sometimes, police officers WhatsApp complainants, and you can see a history of what is going on. If you have gone to the service, the police station, and made a report, you could bring that report also, and bring any statements, bring any witnesses. Okay, that's very important. Also, to let us know if you change phone numbers, because many people have about 3 or 4 phones, and they change their phones and they don't let us know, and we cannot connect with them, and we need to connect with them. So these are the things that they can bring in, and they should bring in to make a complaint. So it gives our investigators a platform to launch the investigation and where to start.
Now, I know, Mr. West, said earlier you were talking about the new app that you have for
Yes.
complaints. Can you just share with us exactly how we can go about making a complaint against a police officer?
Yeah, well, we have several complaints. And of course, you have the old-time method, I would put it now, where you can walk into the Police Complaints Authority. We have one in Trinidad at level 24, Tower D at the Hyatt. And in Tobago, we have an office in Tobago at Bacalet Street, Caribana building. You can walk in and give a complaint. You can email in your complaint to info@pca.org.tt. We have the app, which you can download on your Android free or iOS phone. And you could actually mail in a complaint by the normal stamp and mail in a complaint.
Right.
And once you have all that information on the complaint form, we will then analyze it and then get back to you.
Right. Now, Mr. West, this sounds all well and good, right? But there is still a fear of, the complaint not reaching, or maybe, the police, at least for the person who has been victimized, they may feel that, the Police Complaints Authority hasn't done enough, so based on what, they're complaining about.
Yeah.
What can you tell to somebody who might still be fearful or lack confidence in the PCA to really investigate a matter that they think needs to be investigated?
Well, what we do is we investigate the matter. We are an independent civilian oversight body, so we will investigate your matter. And if you look at the numbers, you can see the numbers have been increasing, so persons have been more confident to come forward and make complaints. Access to the public, we are very accessible to the public via social media, Facebook, Instagram, email, etc. So you can come into the PCA and also make a complaint. So, and also your complaint is kept confidential.
I was just about to ask that as well.
Yeah.
Because you might feel as if, okay, I'm victimized. What if this police officer know I went to complain against him? How is that going to factor into everything?
So your complaint is kept confidential, okay? And the investigations are done in a manner where the defaulting officer should not know that he's been investigated. However, Once we have enough evidence to, what we say, default the police officer, or there's a case against him, we must alert him and let him know, because that's only natural justice. So what we do is we write the officer and say, an allegation is made against you. We don't call a name, but we say an allegation is made against you on such and such a date, whatever, this is the allegation against you. What do you have to say? And when he responds, well, then we will know how to investigate the matter. But at that point, it's only right that the officer knows that a complaint has been made against him and he has a right to respond.
Now, when a complaint is made, what is the outcome? Is it that we take it all the way to court, and then depending on what the result is, then the officer will be disciplined? Is it that he will get sent home? I mean, how does it work?
Right. So the Act, of course, we are a creature of statute. Our Act allows us to make recommendations to the DPP if it's a criminal offense, to the Commissioner of Police if it's a disciplinary offense. So what happens is that we have interactions sometimes with the DPP on an ongoing criminal matter to make sure we have all the bases covered, because when we send in the actual investigative file, we want to make sure that it meets the standard or his standard that he can be able to lay a charge. For example, in the Commissioner of Police now, he has a tribunal that has a setup and hear the evidence that we provide, and then we also provide witnesses. And he takes it forward, and then the officer could be disciplined or charged, as the case may be.
Okay. Well, I mean, as we are on the topic of officers, let's switch to Erwin Hackshaw. Of course, that case has been ongoing for a while.
Yes.
Any updates on this particular case?
Well, we gave the DPP evidence in 2020 on the matter, and we have been following up with the DPP, and I know that matter is progressing. And I'm hoping that that at the end of the day, once he thinks sufficient evidence is there, a charge could be laid.
All right. And in terms of also the Andrea Barrett case, I know that a few of the police officers were brought, of course, before the Complaints Authority because of their handling with two of the state witnesses. Any updates on that as well?
That matter is again before the DPP and the Commissioner of Police. We also wrote the Minister of National Security on it and the Chief of Defense Staff, because it involved soldiers in the matter. And we are awaiting the outcome. But the good thing is that in the amendments that were passed in 2021, we can now write within 3 months after the investigation is closed, we can write to the DPP and the Commissioner of Police to see what's going on. So we will do that shortly, because we have been having informal discussions, but soon, I mean, the public wants to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And we will do our best to try to make sure justice is done.
Now, Mr. West, these things seem to take a lot of time, though. I mean, from going from one hand to the other. It goes to the DPP, it goes to this one, it goes to that one. Is there any way we can speed up the process, so at least that these families can get some justice, or at least the public can know, what's going on with these matters?
Well, I agree with you, Kimberly, that it does take a long time, but I would say, justice should not be rushed, and it should come to a proper conclusion, and that there should be transparency, and a proper investigation should be done. So let's not rush it. I know it takes time, but at the end of the day, let's hope that persons are either charged or they're not charged, because at the end of the day, they feel that a thorough investigation has been done, and we don't want to rush to justice.
Okay. All right, Mr. West, I mean, anything, we're sadly out of time, but anything you want to add before we close?
No, I just want to encourage the public to keep on making complaints if they think they have a valid complaint. Don't make frivolous complaints, because there's legislation to say that we can also charge that person for making a frivolous, complaint.
Yes.
But come in, use our social media, use our app, and come in and make the complaint, and we will take it from there. And remember that we are an independent organization.
Good. Thank you so much, Mr. West, for joining us on Now. And that was the Director of the Police Complaints Authority, Mr. David West, who was just giving us some updates on some of the application processes that we can use if we are filing a complaint against a police officer. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.